That is, the shape of the two blades are quite different, and the two short wooden or metal, and after those two blades, then it has two short wooden or metal or rubber handle, both joined at the pivots, just as we are having here, by rivets or bolts and nuts. Then it is being used for trimming of flower edges. It is being used for pruning of shrubs and ornamental plants, and it's also being used for cutting of buds, scion, and root stock. Then the next simple farm tools we'll be looking at is a sickle, just as we're having here. The sickle has a curved metal blade fitted to a short handle. Just as you can see it here, the inner blade of the metal is sharp, while the outer edge is blunt. The outer edge here is blunt, but the inner is being sharpened. It's being used for harvesting of cereal crops, just like rice, and if we are to harvest our rice manually, or grasses. It's also being used for cutting of forages for livestock. Then the next one we'll be looking at is a hammer. And the hammer is a tool with a heavy metal head, just like what we are having here, with a short wooden handle. That is, the handle is not as long like what we have in the spade or in the shovel or in the pickaxe. It is being used for driving nails into wooden parts of farm structures or equipment. Just like now, the roof of your house where you are staying, it is the hammer they use in driving the nails, except if the truss of being used in making your roof is being made of metal. But if it is wood and nails are to be used in nailing the roofing shields to the trusses, it is the hammer being used in driving the nails into the wooden frames or trusses of the roof. It's also being used for straightening bent components of farm implements. Those are the two main uses that we make use of the hammer for. Then the next one is a spanner, just as we are having here. A spanner is a hand tool. It is made up of a small flat bar with an open jaw, just as you can see in the three. It is made up of a small flat bar with an open jaw or closed grip. The third one we are having here has a closed grip, unlike the other two which are having open jaw at one or both ends, which fits over or clamps the head of a boat or not. What happens is that the jaws, either closed, open jaw or closed grip, is being used, actually fits, perfectly fits on the heads of either boat or not. And what is being used for? Is being used for tightening of bolts or not. Now, before you can tighten your bolts or not, your spanner must have a firm grip. That is, must fit or clamp over the head of the boat or not. Now, if it doesn't fit or clamp the head of the boat or not, it will just be turning without tightening the bolt or not. And it's also being used for loosening of bolts or nuts. Now, the next one is a plier, just as what we are having here. A pair of pliers is a small metal tool. Although the handle is being coated with rubber most of the time to prevent, especially when you are using it with electrical appliances, which is a metal hand tool. It's a small metal tool with jaws, which normally have parallel to thread surfaces, while the handle are being coated with rubber or plastic. It is being used for firm gripping of objects. It is being used for twisting of wires, especially electrical wires. It is also binding wires. It's also being used for holding of bolts and nuts, and it's also being used for cutting of wires and cables. The next tool we'll be looking at here is the screwdriver. This one also is a very common hand tool. It's an hand tool which is made up of a wooden or plastic handle, or plastic or rubber handle, and a narrow metal rod with a flattened and blunt end or tip, and it also have a diamond tip also. It is not only flattened. Sometimes it has because there are some screws that actually that are not majorly flat. That is just like this star at the top. That is some screwdrivers have been so designed to lose or tighten such screws. It is being used for turning of screws, that is for tightening or loosening of screws into in and out of wooden or metal surfaces. The next one we'll be looking at, simple farm tool we'll be looking at, is the headpan. A headpan is a metal container. It's not necessarily a metal container, it could be a plastic container. And with a small circumference at the bottom and a large circumference at the top, just like what we are having here. The bottom is of small circumference while the top is of a larger circumference. It also has two handles which are opposite to each other. That makes carrying more effective and efficient. It is being used for collection of harvested crops. That is, you can use it to collect harvested crops from the field and then take it to where you can store it or where it is going to be used. It is used for carrying and transporting farm inputs and outputs. It's also being used for carrying and mixing of manure or fertilizer. That is, you can use it for carrying, just like after taking your manure from the farmstead or from the farmstead, and then you can use it to carry the manure from the farmstead or fertilizer from the farmstead and then take it to where it is being needed on the field. The next, which is almost the last simple farm tool we're considering in this series, is the wheelbarrow. Just like what we are having here. The wheelbarrow is a relatively large container. It's quite bigger than the headpan, just as you can see, with a wheel in the front. You can see the wheel, and then two rear legs. The legs are there, and for support, those legs are for support, and then two handles used in pushing the wheelbarrow. It is pushed by raising the rear legs. That is, the rear legs must lift you must lift it from the surface of the ground so that you can move it forward. You have to lift it slightly from the ground so you can move it forward. Then it is being used for transporting of harvested crops, and it's also being used for carrying of farm inputs and outputs. Now we'll now be going to the general maintenance of simple farm tools. The following maintenance practices are to be adopted in order to prolong the lifespan and effective use of farm tools. The first maintenance practice is that the tools should be washed and cleaned after use. That is, immediately after you've used them, you have to clean all the soils, all the dirt on it. And then application of oil and grease on movable parts so as to reduce friction, and then so as to reduce friction that leads to wear and tear. If you grease and oil or movable parts, the friction that causes wear and tear will be eliminated or reduced. Then the third one is that you have to paint or grease metallic parts so as to prevent rusting. And then the fourth one is that turn or store tools upside down for water to drain out. For example, your headpan, the watering can, you have to turn it upside down. Then the fifth one is that tools are to be stored in a cool and dry place. Then the sixth one is replace worn out parts. The seventh one is that sharp, blunt edges of blade. You have to sharp, blunt edges or blade when necessary, just like your sickle or the cutlass. You have to sharpen it when necessary. Then you check and tighten loose nuts and bolts before and after usage. Then the ninth one is that you handle tools with care and use for intended purposes. Just like now, you can't just say that, okay, I'm having a sickle and then you want to clear a bush. It really doesn't make any sense. Or I'm having a hoe. This is a tree. I want to cut it down. it won't be appropriate. So you make use of the appropriate tool for the appropriate purpose. Now, the next topic we'll be looking at here is the farm machinery and implements. Farm machinery and implements are labor-saving devices which have the following advantages. The first advantage is that it increases the efficiency of production. That is, the efficiency of production is being increased. If we employ farm machinery in, for example, threshing of rice pad, the efficiency of production will be increased. Then farm work is less tedious and free of drudgery. Now, if we employ, just like now, if a tractor is to be used in clearing a field, the person driving the tractor would feel less stress compared to the person that is going to use cutlass in clearing such expanse of land. There is also an increase in the area of cultivation. Just like now, if you are to cultivate an hectare of land, if you are to cultivate it manually, before you finish it, you might get tired. But with the use of machinery, you can even clear or cultivate a large expanse of land without feeling the stress